Okay, today we continue with our class Halachos of Brochos. We start with Sefer Shmiras Haloshon. And today's topic, the whole of man. Okay, let's see. In summation, one must strive to fulfill each and every mitzvah, be it between man and God or between man and his fellow. For each in its extension of Hashem's will. Thus does the Torah state, apply your hearts to all the all the words with which you are instructed, with which you are to instruct your children, to be careful and perform all of the words of the Torah. Right? For it's not an empty thing for you, for it is your life. It's actually from this parasha, this upcoming, I think, parasha. I'm not sure. Like it's one of these parashas. So it's not an empty thing. So okay. So there are two kinds of the mitzvahs in the Torah. One is between man and God, and second kind is between is between man and man. So this Yom Kippur was actually to atone, try to fix our relationship between us and Hashem, not between us and another person. Let know a thing that even a single mitzvah is extraneous, a matter left to those who seeks exceptional refinement of the character of spiritual attainment. For it is your life. So it's very interesting. Some people say, no, he's a tzaddik, he's this, he's on this level, that level. People create all of the different levels to themselves, to others, and they say that person, that level should do it, but me on my level, I should not do it. So, but that's not what Hashem said. Hashem said it's your life. You must do everything. No part of the human body is extraneous. Each serves an important function, without which the body would not would be unsound. So, like all of us, I guess, know if you have a toothache, and the whole body is like itching, it's crazy, right? What my tooth has with my legs, right? But it's all interconnected. Everything is of great importance. Similarly, each mitzvah provides its own unique spirituality, and it's and is vital to the sound soul's well-being. Thus, we do not conclude the reading of the book of Koheles, but we do conclude the book of Koheles. The sum of the matter that all is considered, each fear God and keep His commandments. For that the whole man. Koheles 12:3. So Shlomo HaMelech, the smartest man who ever lived, said, so I saw everything, the Son of Man, the sum of the matter, when all is considered, fear God and keep His command. That's it. That's the whole man. To be Adam Hashalem, man of spiritual perfection, very interesting translation. Okay, man of spiritual translation. One must fear God, so that he will refrain from doing that the Torah prohibits. Right? When you fear God, you would refrain, and he must keep His commandments. There is all of the positive commandments. That is the whole man. Okay, so try to keep all of the positive commandments. So this Sunday at night, right, starts the new holiday for Sukkot. So there are a few mitzvahs that we should do. One of them is to build the sukkah, right? It's like a hut. I don't know. Most of the people today just buy existing one and just assemble. That's it, right? But if somebody wants to build, there is no problem. You can build, right? And second mitzvah is we take lulav and nesrog and shake them. That's the second mitzvah of the sukkah holiday. Okay. So stop here. Continue with Halachot of Brochos. So let's see where I'm at. Okay, so we start a new chapter today. which is a Shehakol. Last chapter was we learned the blessing, not blessing on the wine or other beverages, as I say, but all of the different situations. About the wine and beverages, we learned a long time ago, different situations. Okay, so let's see. Shehakol, chapter 25. Shehakol is a very general bracha. Okay, as we know. So it's a summary. It is a statement acknowledging that all the things came and continuously come into being by the words of Hashem. Okay. The caliber of each bracha was ranked by Chazal according to the specific ranking system. Okay. The less specific the bracha, the lower the ranking. Since Shehakol is all-inclusive, it is the lowest ranking system of the brachas. So let's try to understand. I mean, we said it in chapter 11. So chapter 11 was very long time ago. So we said the more specific bracha, the more important it is. Right, so meaning what? That if this bracha would cover only this kind of food. For example, the most specific bracha is on bread. Right, only bread is covered by this bracha. So if you say this blessing on the vegetables, is not going to cover. Then comes the fruit of the tree, fruit of the ground, and. No. It's after that is mizonos, right? You have a wine, also very, very specific blessing. Okay, then only chaetz and others. Okay, so Shehakol, so it's the least specific, meaning it can include all variety of food. That's why it's the lowest in ranking. Although Shehakol can in a pinch be used for any food. In a pinch, for any food, it was designated to be used only in situation where none more specific bracha, such as Borei Prichayis, Borei Chadama, Borei or Borei Mizonos, is inappropriate. Right. So after we cover everything, I mean that's as we said, for meat, right? For things that do not grow from the ground. Let's put it this way. Right, or were processed so much that is unrecognizable, or it's a beverage. Okay, so let's see, a non-produce. Chazal designated Shehakol for all non-produce foods. There is all the foods which do not grow from the ground. They include meats, fish, and poultry, dairy products, milk, cheese, cream, etc., eggs. Mushroom. B'diavad, if one recite Borei Prichot Adama for mushrooms, the bracha is valid. As we said before, but it receives its nourishment from the air, right? Even though it grows from the ground, but the nourishment gets from the air. So after the fact, if you say Borei Prichot Adama, fruit of the ground, after the fact, no problem. Don't need to say another one. Next one, sugar and salt. So sugar and salt, even though sugar is produced from the beets or from sugar cane, which is grown from the ground, right? But as we said, it was processed so much. But when you look at the sugar, you don't recognize it's sugar beets or the sugar cane. It has nothing to do with that. I mean, it has everything to do with that, but we cannot see. Look at the product, those products. That's why we say Shehakol. Okay, for the sugar commentary, b'diavad, if one recite Borei Prichot 8 or Borei Prichot Adama for a cane sugar, or Borei Prichot Adama for the beet sugar, bracha is valid. So once again, so the they consider the sugar canes actually they consider the sugar canes actually to be a tree, right? So if person says the fruit of the tree or the fruit of the ground for the sugar cane, after the fact, no need to say anything else, or barepri hadama for sugar beets. So by beet sugar for sure it's not from the ground. It's not a tree. It's actually grows underground. I think it's roots. That's what we eat. Continue. And salt. Salt is also very interesting. Salt. Okay, but let's see the commentary. They get it from the sea or from under the ground. Foods which are eaten. Foods which are not eaten even at times of pressing need are not subject to bracha. Thus, bracha is not required for eating spices such as black or white peppers, ginger, whole cloves, and the like, as discussed in chapter 13. So, but salt, some people like the taste of the salt, and they can eat actually the salt. Maybe they don't have enough salt in their body, but I saw it. We have a special salt with a lemon, right? So it's a very, very distinct taste. People like it. Okay. Next one is water. See footnote. Note that the drink water for the purpose other than quenching the thirst or as enjoyable drink, the bracha is not required. For example, if one drinks glass of water in order to take a pill, bracha is not required. The subject is discussed in chapter 13. It wasn't 13, I think it was just recently. Okay, so basically on the water, just to remind us, on the water, if you want to drink, if you're thirsty, and you enjoy the drink as water itself, so you say the blessing. But if it's to swallow a pill, or you choking something, or like you have something hot, you ate something hot and you want to drink some water, so of course in these cases, unless you also enjoy water, so you don't need to say the blessing, because you don't drink it for pleasure, you drink it for other reasons. Okay. Continue. Candy, except for majority ingredients at fruit or nut. Right. So we said it's possible people do this candy. They do what is it? That like sesame seeds, right, or sunflower seeds, and they put what is it? They fry it with a honey. This candy. So of course there's different blessing. But when they say candy, maybe chocolate candy or some other candy, when hard candy, but you don't see the actual fruits. There is no fruits or nuts. Okay. Next one is chewing gum. Next one, hydroponically grown produce. Alfalfa or bean sprouts. Okay, so let's try to understand. So there's some vegetables that are new technology. I mean, it's not so new, maybe 20 years, maybe more, maybe 30. I don't know. When they grew vegetables actually in the water, right, and not in the ground. And I saw, I think, like they advertised tomatoes, and you put like upside down, so that the roots actually on top, and they grow down like, and I think you have to spray the roots or something. And I'm not sure how often, but that's what it is, a special type. Okay. So on all of this, we say shehakol because they don't get nourishment from the ground. Next one, juices, except wine and grape juice. Okay, Commentary. All the juices derived from the fruit and vegetables, they are not considered the products of the ground. This is because the moisture content of the fruit is viewed as sweat of the fruit, right, rather than a component of its fruit itself. Okay, as we said before, it's not like there is it was what is it? It was like a liquid inside of the like liquid in a fruit, like you open like I don't know, like a coconut, maybe that's would be example, right? So you have coconut is separate and liquid is separate, so not so in this case, right? In this case, it's very different because the juice is trapped into the fruit, and you have to squeeze it, so it's like they call it a sweat of the fruit, not the liquid. Continue. Of course, we're talking about halachically. Food which is burnt. Oh no, sorry. Okay, sorry. Missed it. Okay. So, and of course, we said on wine and grape juice. So all of the liquids besides the wine and grape juice, we say shehakol. All of the liquids. Very simple to remember. Next one: coffee, tea, beer, whiskey. I'm not sure why they put the whiskey in separate category, but okay, no problem. So all of this liquors, hard liquor, all of the shehakol. Next one is honey. Okay. Commentary. When used to sweeten the other food, shehakol is not required, as it is exempt by the bracha on other foods. Okay, so if you dip, like for example, on Rosh Hashanah, we have this tradition to dip apple, even challah, right? First, we said blessing on the challah. We did 3 times into the salt, and then you dip into the honey, and then you eat. And then you dip apple into the honey, and you also eat the apple. But before apple, you do say blessing, because apple is not normally part of the meal, right? So you say the blessing. But for the honey, you don't, because it's subordinate to the apple. Okay, next one. Continue. Default the bracha. Shehakol is also default bracha. If it is a bracha used when no other bracha is appropriate, to illustrate. Okay, so default if there is no other bracha. The Beverages or Hadama may be made only on a fruit or a vegetable that is recognizable. If the fruit or vegetable is not recognizable, the default bracha shehakol is used. So like on applesauce, right? If it's like a commercial one, it was blended so good. So I mean, it has nothing to do with apples. So when you do it at home, and in the olden days they do it like manually, right? So you see the pieces of apple floating there. So of course you say Beverages, but here on commercial one you say Shehakol. Continue. Or you have tomato puree, right? So I think that's what we said. That's how they make tomato juice. So it's not like juice you squeeze tomato. No, they actually pulverize. No, not pulverize, but process it. Continue. A fruit that is normally eaten. So if it's like unrecognizable, even though before that it was fruit of the ground or fruit of the tree, so now it's unrecognizable. So you say shehakol unless it is recognizable. An example that we gave, and I think it's a very good example, is mashed potato. So mashed potato, I mean, it's very recognizable. You know it's potatoes. Okay, so with applesauce, it could be from some other fruits, right? Maybe even vegetables. I don't know. Continue. If fruit is normally only eaten cooked, and one eats it raw, so it's the next exception. Or if fruit is normally only eaten raw, and one eats it cooked, the normal bracha is not appropriate. The default bracha is shehakol. The food, okay, so no, there is no examples. What would be a good example? One example that we gave is potato. Somebody trying to eat raw potatoes, so he would say shehakol. Or raw beets. I don't think people eat raw beets. I don't. Maybe they do, but I don't think so. They pickle them and then eat. Yeah, I understand. But raw, I think they don't. So if somebody decided to eat, so he would say shehakol, not barapichon. So that's not the normal way of eating. Food which is burnt or moldy is not subject to normal bracha. In unlikely event that one has to eat such a food, the bracha defaults to shehakol. So let's try to understand. So if it's burnt, so I'm not sure when say burnt. So it means it burnt like the whole dish completely. So if you have a let's say, so if you have a bread that is burnt, so usually it's burnt on the bottom or like, but on top is still good. So no problem. You want to eat that burnt part, there's no problem. You say blessing on the good part, and you eat the burnt part. But here like the whole dish burnt, right? So you say shehakol or moldy. So somebody must eat. I mean that's the only food he has, I guess. So you say shehakol. There is the food technically edible. So moldy, maybe just remove the mold and you eat. But maybe it's a lot of mold. So mold is somebody told me it's actually good penicillin, right? They do antibiotics with that. So to say that it's, I mean that's what I think people used to eat when they needed antibiotics. Before the time like it was very available. So the food is technically edible, but but is thoroughly burnt or spoiled to the extent that most people would not eat it. So of course we're not talking about normal circumstances. We're talking about exceptional circumstances. So most of the people would throw out. I mean, we check some of the molded. It goes to the garbage, right? Because my wife always say maybe it's like in one spot, but you don't know. Maybe it's like all over the place, even if you don't see. Just because your eyes don't see, does not mean that that you can eat it. Okay, so that's very dangerous. I mean, not dangerous. You person is not going to die or you get food poisoning. Most likely not, but it's not recommended, I guess. Conversely, food which is not thoroughly spoiled retain the original bracha. Okay, so if it's not normal, if you can remove this mold and eat the bread, no problem. The following example, in the following example, the food does not lose the original bracha. A pot of food was scorched, and the food absorbed the burnt smell or the taste, or too much salt or pepper was added. Very interesting. The food is definitely not good, but most persons would consume it rather than throw it away and start over. Since it was not thoroughly burnt or spoiled, it retains the original bracha. So it was burnt, okay, it was spoiled, but or we saw they over salted, right? But not to waste food. So most of the people, or some people, most of the people would eat. Okay, so that then okay, it's not the tasty as you intended, but still blessing it the same. Very interesting. So let's do this sentence again because there are more commentaries. So it says food which is burnt or moldy, which is explained, is not subject to the normal bracha. So if it's too burnt or too moldy, right here example we gave, it's like burned on the bottom, and the taste of the burnt part went into all of the rest of the food. But it's not so like critical that people would stop people like and throw out. Okay, so then you say the regular blessing, but here we say like burn completely, and that's all a person has. It's not subject to a normal bracha. So meaning is that you say Shehakol on this. In the unlikely event, then one has to eat such a food, commentary. The part of the food is totally burnt, and one wishes to eat from the unburned part. He should recite bracha normally required for that type of food. For example, half of the slice of toast was burnt, but technically edible, and the other half was not. One should eat from the good side. From good side should make hamotzi. So I mean that's a good example. But that's what we said before. So even if you intend to eat this burnt part, there is no problem. You can do whatever you want. But say blessing on the normal part. That's it. That it's not so burnt. Continue. The bracha default to Shehakol. Commentary. Foods which are burnt or spoiled beyond the point where the people would eat them in times of the need are not subject to the bracha. So if it's too bad, like people would not eat it, like even under the like very dire circumstances, people eat everything. Just so you know, right? But if it's not for that, so you just don't make any blessing. That's it. Okay. Any questions on what we said? Okay, so let's continue then. The correct bracha can be okay. So next section C. Correct bracha cannot be determined. So you don't know, it's fruits and vegetables or something. Since the Shehakol is general bracha, it may be used in cases where the correct bracha cannot be determined. This is discussed in great details in chapter 16. So we said actually that Talmud says that if in Shulchan Aruch, right, if you do not know bracha, you're not allowed to eat the food. Go and learn from someone who knows. So today we have a book like that, and at the end of the book is like unbelievable, they call it handbook. So with all of the, I mean, of course not all, but is a lot of foods, the different kinds of foods, and they would say what was a blessing before, what is a blessing after, and where actually to see it, and what should be considered. It's very interesting, all of the details. So, or you go to internet and you see how this thing grows. Like, and you see it's or what is it? But like some words I have no idea what is it. Is it fruits, vegetables? Is it chicken? Is it, I don't know, a bird? Right. So you go to internet and do research. Okay. And of course you see if it's kosher or not. Chapter 26, bread and bread products. Ooh, wow, that's very interesting. Bread and bread products. Introduction. This chapter will deals mainly with determining which type of bread and bread products require hamotzi and Beverages Hamazon. Right, as we said before, I'm not sure why. I mean, we learned a lot of it before. I'm not sure why we're going to this chapter, but we're going to see. Of course, I mean, he does not repeat the previous information. He just builds on top of it. Okay, very nice. So we said that there is such a thing as a bread product. And by bread products, we said all of these cookies, all of the cakes are actually of the bread products. Right? In section A, the bracha requirements for the bread are explained. For example, is nitalas yadayim hamotzi or birchas hamazon required if he wishes to eat only a tiny piece of bread? right? So you just want to taste new piece of bread. So your wife asks you to taste, is it good, is it not good? So you're not you have no intention now. Let's say it's at night, you want to go to bed, you're not going to say Birchas Hamazon, so you want to taste only a little piece. So what do you do? Section B deals with how to determine that a particular product is or is not considered bread. Right? It's very interesting. So they say pizza is the bread, not bread. We discussed, for example, why hamotzi is not required for the breadsticks, melba toast, and matzah crackers. Section C is about the products made from bread. For example, hamotzi and birchas hamazon required for the slice of French toast. A slice of bread dipped in eggs and fried. So that's a definition of French toast. Of course, people call different names, but that's what it is. For a matzah bowl, or for the sorven challah kugel. So matzah bowl is made of matzah meal. So it was a matzah. They grind it, right? Make flour again. And from this flour, they make a bowl, right? You add eggs, other spices, and you cook it in a soup. So what blessing do you see? Certain challah kugel. So challah kugel is whatever challah is remained from Shabbos. So they make a kugel, put it in into the, I think with eggs, with all other things, whatever they mix and then they bake it again in an oven. Continue. Note: in certain cases, bread family products such as cake, crackers, etc., are treated as genuine bread. In such instances, hamotzi is required. The subject discussed detail in the next chapter 27. So we actually discussed it before, just to remind us when you intend to eat a lot, and a lot we said 4 ounces. But I saw in Shulchan Aruch he said that there is strong opinion about 3 ounces. 3, and another opinion, yes, 4 ounces. So, which is, as we understand, it's not a lot. Continue. Pizza, mizoines bread, and other related products are discussed in the next chapter 27. Okay. So, but this is 26. Again, bread and bread products. Okay. A. The bracha requirements for bread. He brings forth the bread from which satiates the man's heart. Right? It's from Tehillim 104. The bracha explicitly for bread. Of all of the foods which exist, no food satiates and sustains life like bread. So that's why in all, I don't want to say all, but because I don't know about all, but in most of the countries, governments subsidize the prices of bread. Simple bread, like the cheap ones, so everybody can afford. Because why? Because it's so important food, staple food. Because of this important quality, Chazal put bread into a class of its own. So it satiates. Right? They designated a separate bracha hamotzi explicitly for bread. Commentary. So let's see the commentary. Whenever one makes hamotzi, the following procedure should be followed. Okay. Number 1, before making bracha, the hamotzi should preferably be made of the whole loaf or a roll, rather than a piece or a slice of bread. See chapter 11, footnote. Okay. Salt should be brought to the table before washing, so that the bread may be dipped into salt before eating. Okay, salt before. So let's, we discussed it before a few times, but I think it makes sense to just to review in all of the details. So now a person wants to eat bread. So the proper thing, so if it's possible, if he has, so it's proper to say the blessing on the whole loaf. right? Even I don't know whatever you have pita, so it's better to say the blessing on the whole pita and start eating, and then you can eat all other breads, whatever you have there, or a roll, right? So whole roll is take precedence, right? Second thing, he said, make sure that the salt is there. So it's not it's not right to be not organized, right? Even though, as we said before, it's not considered to be interruption when persons like even asks after he or she washes their hands, ask for a salt for a knife. It's not an interruption on one hand. On the other hand, why should you put yourself in this situation? So you did not know that you would need the salt in order to eat bread, or in order to eat in general, right? So why is it not on the table? Continue. One should cut a sliced veg, leaving it's partially connected to the loaf. Now make it bracha and break it off that piece. Okay. It is considered connected. If one can lift a small part, and the larger part will not fall off. On Shabbos, since the bread must be completely whole, for the lechem mishneh requirement, it should be not cut into until after the bracha is recited. However, the mark should be made in place of where it is to be cut. Okay, so let's try to understand. So even though you have the whole loaf, but as we said with all other foods, so it must be clean. So you want to make the blessing on the apple. Okay, you may make sure that you wash the apple. It's clean and it's nice, and that's what you want to do. Have it in your right hand, ready to eat. That's what we said. Or you want to drink water, juice, whatever you want to drink. So make sure it's in your glass, in your cup, and it's in your hand, and you're ready to drink. Nothing is stopping, right? No, there is no interruption, right? So some people say blessing, start saying blessing, and then the cup stuck and they like delay. That's not proper. Okay, so here they say same is here. So be as much ready as possible, even though we say it's better to have the whole loaf or the whole roll or a whole pita, whatever you have. Complete has a higher status than not complete, right? And so have it ready. So do a little cut. So what does a little cut mean? So you cut a little deep, right? Not too deep. So you can take from like a smaller part and pick it up. So if you can pick up for behind you cut, right? So let's say I cut here. So you say I take right side, try to pick it up. So if it's not going to break, there is that's good, right? And on Shabbos, of course, since there is lechem mishnah, as we learn in our class laws of Shabbos, it's complete roll, two complete breads or loaves, or whatever, rolls or loaves, chalas, or whatever you have, right? So that's why we just do a small mark, and we don't take any chances, right? But on a weekday, there is no obligation to eat the whole loaf. I mean, if I have sliced bread, or if I started this loaf yesterday or 2 days ago, of course I don't have complete loaf. There is no problem. So it's not obligation, but they say if possible, that's what should you do. If it's possible, if not, don't inconvenience yourself, of course. But here on Shabbos, you must have complete loaf. So they say just mark a place where you're going to cut. That's it. Continue. Number 2, while reciting bracha. The bread upon which the bracha is being made should be held with all 10 fingers touching the bread while bracha being recited. Okay, so when I say the blessing on the bread, it's not about anything else but bread. So you hold it with all 10 fingers in 2 hands. Why 10 fingers? They're going to explain. No. they're not going to explain. But the reason is that there are 10 separate melachas that came into making this bread. 10 different steps, right? That's why we hold with all 10 fingers. I mean, that's one of the reasons. When recite Hashem's name, he should raise the bread. On Shabbos, since Brocha is being recited on 2 halas, both halas should be raised while reciting Hashem's name. So actually, not only in this, but it's a general rule, right? So when you're saying blessing and you say Hashem name, you lift things up, right? Okay. So even when you say Baruch again, Baruch Atah Hashem, Baruch again, right? So on Hashem we lift the cup when we recite the name of Hashem, and same is Havdalah with other procedures. Okay, so of course on Shabbos when you hold two challahs or 2 breads or 2 pitas to whatever you eat, so you have to lift 2 of them, of course, too. Continue. The hamotzi should be enunciated clearly. One should pause a moment between the words lechem and min. So some people say it very fast, and if you see this hamotzi lechem ends with m, and min is start with m, right? With mem, Hebrew mem. So if you're saying too fast, right? So Shulchan Aruch says you miss 1 m. So you have to say it clearly, so like every word separated, right? Hamotzi lechem min ha'oretz. That's it. So everybody knows what you said. What you said, no problem. Any questions on what we said so far? Okay. So number 3, after reciting the bracha, directly after the making hamotzi, the choice piece of bread should be cut. The choice part of bread is the upper of the lower crust. Therefore, a piece to be used should include some upper and lower crust. Okay, so the crust is, I think it's always everybody's favorite. So make sure that it included upper crust and lower crust. So we will learn how to get how to see when it's to find the best part. So you actually see when the bread cracked, right? So it's meaning that it has a thicker crust in there. So that's what you want to cut. But another thing we said when you cut on Shabbos, or not even Shabbos, when you cut and you have other people eating with you, so you have to cut a piece large enough so it would be enough for all of the people who are eating with you, right? Not and they would get kezayis at least of the food. So you have to calculate. You have 3 people, 5 people, 10 people. You have to calculate. So of course on 5 people you cannot get like small challah. You have to get a big one. Okay. So let's see. I think it's continuation next page. Yeah, continuation. If he was motzi others, or other persons who are eating with him, he should place a piece of bread in front of each of them and not in their hands. Care should be taken not to throw it. So it's, of course, we spoke before, it's very disrespectful to throw bread. First, it's like you throw maybe a dog. No, it's not because of that. It's disrespect to the food, right? It's one thing, and second, don't put in anybody's hands, because we said it's like it's bad sign for a person. It's like if somebody loses somebody close here, so he sit in the shiva and somebody brings him bread and put it in his hands, so he can start eating. That's not what you want to imply, right? We want to cut, put it in their plate, or just pass around. Let them take whatever they want. put it in like a basket, a bread basket or something, like in a bowl, and pass around the table. Let everybody take whatever piece they like. Continue. The requirement to make hamotzi before eating bread is mid-rabanan. So actually, all of the blessings before and after food, eating, not only food, all of the pleasures, deriving pleasures from this world is actually mid-rabanan. It's one of the 7 laws. The requirement to recite birchas hamazon, to bench after eating bread, is midraisa, a positive Torah commandment. Okay, so of course I say all but not all. The only exception from what we said with all of this blessing before, and in some cases after the enjoyments, physical enjoyments, it's with exception of birchas hamazon, so grace after the meal. Commentary. So what is the exception? That it's actually Torah commandment. Commentary. The Torah connects eating bread to make it brachas, and you shall eat the bread, and you shall make a bracha. Right? It says in Dvarim 8:10. Thereby giving the positive commandment to bench. So bench, we said it's mean birchas hamazon in short. After eating bread. The consideration that the benching is a Torah origin, midaraisa, bears halakhic implication discussed in chapter 17. So, just to remind us what we said in chapter 17, we said, for example, if somebody forgot, did they bench, did they not bench? So we say, yeah, absolutely, you must bench. Again, from the beginning. Okay, that's but we say if a person does not remember that I say blessing after I ate my apple or did not, so we say don't make another blessing. Okay. So it's after eating bread, and midraisa is positive Torah commandment. Commentary. When a person eats meal and is not satiated, the requirement to bench is midrabanan. Okay, so that's another exception. So here, when we say when the blessing is midrabanan from a rabbi, so we do not repeat the blessing in the case of the doubt. When it's in the case of the Torah, yeah, we do repeat. I mean, repeat or say it for the first time, that doesn't matter. Okay, we say it. If we're not sure, we say it. Right? But in the case of midaraisa, instead midrabanan, we don't say it. So meaning, if a person ate just a little and was not satiated from the whole meal, so he does not repeat it. In the case of the doubt. Continue. Number 2, minimum shiur. Any questions on what we said so far? Okay. Wow, that's a very long chapter. Of course, about bread, it's a very long chapter. Number 2, no minimum shiur. We have learned that the requirements to bench is dependent on eating minimum 1 kezais of bread within a specific period of time. So, no minimum shiur. So, as with bread, as with all other foods that we eat, there is no minimum quantity on which you say the Brocha Rishona, the first one, before eating, right? But after eating, it depends if you ate enough in a certain period of time, right? So one more time, we have learned, chapter 17, continue, that the requirements to bench is dependent on the minimum, depends on the minimum amount of kizais of bread. So if you eat kizais, so kizais, as we said, 1 ounce, approximately 28 grams or something, which is a specific period of time. And plus, we said 3 to 4, right? No, 3 to 4, but maximum up to 9 minutes, according to some opinions. Okay, continue. The requirement to recite Nitlas Yadayim is also dependent on the minimum Shiur. One wishes to is less than Shiur, one should not wash his hands, but he should wash his hands, but but not make a bracha al Nitlas Yadayim. So there are two opinions that we have. One is a little stricter, one is a little lenient. So okay. So if person is going to eat less than one kizais, so he washes for a bread anyway, but no blessing is said. No blessing is said. Okay. Okay. So continue. As I said, you just want to taste something. You're not intended to eat. So you still go wash your hands. You still say HaMotzi, but there is no blessing on the washing. Continue. There is no minimum required, however, to make a HaMotzi. Okay, meaning on any amount. So let's see commentary. Some poskim suggest that directly after making HaMotzi, a kizayis of bread should be eaten. Not that the less than kizayis of bread is eaten at the meal. It is questionable if bracha on that small amount of bread covers the other foods, which will be eaten during the course of the meal. Chapter 5. Okay, so let's try to understand what it says here. So we say, so after a person made the blessing of HaMotzi, say try to eat right away, if possible, the whole kizayis. Right? The whole kizayis meaning the whole ounce. Why? Because it is questionable if you not going to eat the kizayis, if you eat only in small pieces, right? And you're not going to eat the whole kizayis in this up to 9 minutes, 3 to 4, preferably up to 9 minutes. So it's questionable if other foods actually covered. So maybe, if person is not intended to eat kizayis or more, right? But he wants this piece of bread, so he can eat the piece of bread. But for all other foods, for sure, he has to say separate blessing. You understand? Because according to this opinion, I do not go by this opinion. We go actually by kibeitza. I think that's what Mishnah Brocha says. Kibeitza, right? Okay, but in case of the need, you can. But for other people, let's say for elderly people, for sure you can go by this opinion. So if they cannot eat more bread, somebody is sick, somebody does not like bread for whatever reason. So of course you can rely on this opinion and make him eat only kizayis. But for others like who is healthy, we're trying to have them eat the whole kibeitza. Like it's not a lot. It's a double kizayis basically. Commentary. Regarding the products made from matzah meal or the breadcrumbs, see the paragraph C3. Okay, we're going to get to it. Of this chapter. Regarding breadcrumbs, which are one of the ingredients of the mixture, chapter 4, section D. So these breadcrumbs, usually they are subordinate. So I think we spoke before, you put fish, you want to fry fish. So you put it in what is it, in an egg, right? And then you put it breadcrumbs, and then you put it on frying pan, right? So these breadcrumbs, of course it's bread, but they are very, very subordinate to the fish. It's not like a thick coat that they call like the fish fingers. It's not. It's a thin coat. So you say blessing on the fish, and it's these breadcrumbs only secondary. Okay, so one more time, suggestion is to eat right away the whole kizayis. Right, so that's very proper to follow it. So you say HaMotzi, for example, on Shabbos, you sit down, you eat only bread until you finish. You want to go by this opinion, one ounce, no problem, go by this opinion. but make sure that anyway that you eat this one ounce. Okay. To illustrate, one wishes to eat one horse devours. I'm not sure what is it. He should first wash. He should then not recite Nitalas Yadayim. He should make hamotzi, but he should not bench. This horse devours. Usually are made with the small pieces of bread, which are less than kizais. I'm not sure what is it. Okay, I never ate it. Hashem. Next one, if he ate half a kizais of bread and kizais of food which should normally require bare nefashos, he should make bare nefashos. So this bread is actually, since bread, or it could even be mizoines, when you did not eat enough mizoines to require separate blessings. So this mizoines, this food that you ate, is going to add to the other foods, right? Meaning meaning what? So you can add, because in order to say any after blessing, you have to eat at least one kizais, right? So you have to eat at least one kizais. So if you ate half a kizais of bread and half a kizais of vegetables, so no problem, you can combine, but you say bare nefashos. So our tomatoes do not become suddenly bread, but bread becomes a part of the tomatoes, I guess, because it also grows from the ground. Okay. 1 second. So continue. Mistake. Number 3 mistakes. If one mistakenly recite Borei Minei Mizoines or Shehakol on bread, the Brocha is b'diavad valid. So I mean, so the blessing for Borei Minei Mizoines, I think, who created the food that satiates. So of course, like after the fact, whatever this person said is true statement for bread. So, but only after the fact, and say Shehakol. Shehakol is translated by whose word everything came into being, I think, right? So of course, including bread. So after the fact, it was too much on a person's mind. He has fever, this and that. So no problem. After the fact, don't need to repeat anything. If one mistakenly recite Borei Pli Chadama on bread, it is questionable whether or not the bracha is valid. Okay. So meaning Borei Minei Mizoines no problem, Shehakol no problem, but this Borei Pli Chadama is a problem. Commenting. However, Borei Pli Eitz or Borei Pli Geffen were mistakenly decided invalid. It is invalid. A new bracha Hamotzi is required. So, but with this Chadama, that's the problem. Right? That's the problem. So we need to find some kind of solution in order to make this bracha end for these vegetables and try to say hamotzi. Okay, no problem. We can start here. So it was a question from the last week on WhatsApp, and the question was: if person in the morning do a wrong washing. So what is the wrong washing? So if I remember correctly. So it was supposed to be like the alternate fashion, right? 3 on 1, 1. The person did the opposite. Whatever we do for bread, we do 1 and 1. Some people do 3, but we do 2. Okay, there is no problem. So what is the problem? So just do it properly and say the blessing, right? But if person already said the blessing, let's say, right? Person already said the blessing after this washing. So after some time, like as soon as realize what's going on, go and wash in the correct way, and without the blessing, that's it. There is no crime. Actually, you can wash, as we said last time in our class Halachos for women, you can wash multiple times. There is no problem. And the second question was, don't remember the second question. Okay, I don't remember, sorry. Okay, any other questions? Or if somebody can read the second question from WhatsApp, I don't remember. It's so if somebody comes home, let's say three in the morning, and then have to get up at 6:30 to get the kid to school. So what is the proper time? So what should we do now? When you come home at 3 in the morning, it's too early to pray in the morning. So you go to bed, do whatever you need to do. You can get the kid to school, come back. For women, women can even sleep several hours, right? Even if they pray before noon, for example, right? So after the fact, there is no problem. But for men, it's more it's more pressure because we have to say Shema. So for women also, I'm just thinking. So if she has like I don't know, like 15 minutes. Say morning blessings, like 6:30 when she wakes up. Say morning blessings, and say Shema, at least one paragraph, right? Shema Israel in the first paragraph, and that's it. You can go about your business, and then finish praying whenever you have time. Okay. Any other questions? Let's stop here. Okay, so we can stop here. So Monday and Tuesday are holidays, so we're off, and Beezrat Hashem, so we're going to talk on Wednesday, Beezrat Hashem. I think we should have class, but we'll see. Probably going to do it from my sukkah, Beezrat Hashem, if it's not going to rain. Okay. All right. Good night then, until Wednesday, and good Shabbos and good Yom Tov. Thank you.